But we haven't seen tracks of them, so I wonder if they're not still in that area somewhere, possibly just moved off and hiding a little bit. This was where we had that wonderful sighting with them, when Hosanna and Shungile got that monitor lizard, and they were basically playing with it. They weren't really feeding on it. I must be honest, and hang on, just through this gap there is that Blacksmith Lapwing on the opposite bank of this little dam that we heard fly over us. There it is. And I was saying, with this heat, and I can feel it's already starting to warm up. I wonder what the temperature is going to be today. Probably in the mid-30s. So probably 90s, high 90 degrees, I would say. And the lovely call of the orange-breasted bush shrike. I'll show you a picture of the orange-breasted bush shrike because it's such a beautiful bird. There we go. That's the orange-breasted bush shrike, and that's what's calling at the moment behind us. I'm sure you could hear it. It's still going. Oh, hang on everyone. A woodpecker has just called off to my left. There he goes. It's a golden-tailed woodpecker. Let's see if we can see where he lands. Oh, he's right up in that tree. Did you see where he landed, Jesse? Hang on. Let's see if I can get a bit closer. It might be difficult to see him, but it was a golden-tailed woodpecker. So this large tree in front of us, the branch that leads off to the right. He just jumped up there, and he's still jumping around. There he goes. He just flew. Oh, it might be tricky, everyone. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show him to you. There he is. Do you see him jumping up through there? No, I don't know. At this angle, Jesse, can we get up there? I'm not sure. He just fluttered around through there. Do you hear that call? That's the golden-tailed woodpecker. That high-pitched screech. Oh, something like that. No, I don't think we'll be able to get him for you. He's jumping around, and at this angle it's very difficult, but I'll show you a picture of the golden-tailed woodpecker. I'll see if he does jump out. No, he's gone even higher up and into some thicker scrub, or thicker leaves, rather thicker branches. Let's just find him quickly for you. The golden-tailed woodpecker. But they've got a very distinct call. That high-pitched screech. That's the sound, kind of the sound they make. There, you can hear him. He does it a lot better than I do. Very beautiful bird. But unfortunately, he's just disappeared. I'm trying to have a look if we can get a glimpse of him, but there he goes. There he goes. He's just flown off. Nice to hear him though. It's wonderful to hear these different bird sounds, the bird calls, and that's often how you do find some of the animals. No, it's not animals, but the birds rather. Listen to the calls and see if you can find them. Now Tristan's still in the tent and he's playing with the microscope. Let's see what he's got.
Indeed, Byron, we are playing, and I'm actually having quite a lot of fun. This microscope is insanely cool to look into and to see all the little microscopic detail that we miss with our eyes. So we managed to open up that gall. We broke it apart, and you can actually see, if I show you now what it looks like on the inside, how it's actually been eaten away and completely stripped of all the flesh that would have been inside there, and it's basically just left the husk of this hardened bark. So if we go to the microscope, you'll be able to see that inside there you've got a little bit of kind of eating away areas. You can actually see where the teeth marks have gone in those whiter areas. Then the black sections and red sections are just where it's dried out. So that would have been the cambium layer that would have protected the woody part of the plant. And then you can also see, as we look, I'll try and just focus it a little bit better, that there is some sort of web section there. Now, that often does happen when they pupate. They spin this little web and cocoon themselves in there, and they then will have hatched out of that. So that's just a remnant of where the wasp actually was. Luckily, we didn't destroy any home for a wasp or any other insect. Sometimes I've opened these and you find little spiders and things inside there. But today, nothing was disturbed, and so all was good in the breaking apart of the gall. But isn't it incredible to see the detail within this gall and to see how efficient this little larvae has been at basically eating out and carving its sort of environment out, and utilizing every little bit of nutrients that it needed to survive. It's quite amazing. I'm very, very chuffed with this microscope. It does an incredible job. I also want to have a quick look at the little gall midges, because I seem to have seen that there is a little larvae inside there. So just give me 2 seconds. So the larvae seems to still be in, and I just want to see if we can get a little look there. I don't know if you guys can see it in that corner. Sorry, just trying to get it right here for you. There we go. I think there's one there that we can maybe focus on. But there you go. If you look inside the hole itself, there is a nice little round object kind of protruding, and that will be one of the little eggs inside that little gall for this gall midge that will just be waiting patiently, feeding off little parts of the branch, and will eventually then hatch out of it. So you can see on some of the other holes to sort of the left side of the screen, oh sorry, the wind is playing a bit of havoc there and it's just blowing our little gall. Just try to get that back for you. And oh, sorry, the wind is not working with us. But you can see now these little holes that are exposed and in focus currently, they are empty. There's no larvae inside there, so it's just 1 or 2 that were left inside. And I'm not sure if they possibly are already dead, or if they have potentially maybe, become sort of a larvae that's not going to hatch. Maybe there was some sort of environmental influence that has caused this little gall to die, this little midge to die, and they're going to just stay in there, and it's just a little husk of the actual insect that's left behind. But isn't it incredible to be able to go into so much detail into one of these little insect egg cases effectively, and be able to see with all that is going inside there, and to actually be able to see the midges. They're very, very small and minute. As you could see when I was showing you earlier, with just the size of my finger, they're almost the size of a nail. So inside there is where the larvae is living. So it's quite incredible that we're able to get such a nice clear picture of them and see what's actually going on inside these galls. So Byron was talking about bird calls. We also have had lots of birds been chirping all around us. We've had lots of woodland kingfishers going. There's been orange-breasted bushrikes like Byron had earlier. And I was just listening to a crested barbet calling now. It's just stopped. But there we go. There it's starting to call now. So beautiful, beautiful birds as well. And on warm mornings like this, the insects are often quite active. And so lots of birds that are around trying to hunt down insects. Also, it's that time of the year when birds are mating. So a lot of vocalizing happening at the moment for birds to all kind of find each other. So yeah, very, very, very beautiful morning. I must be honest, as Byron was talking about earlier as well, it is starting to get quite hot, and the tent is quite a warm place. So we'll probably go out and start having a look around the tent a little bit and spend some time in the fresh air. There's a nice breeze blowing, so we'll try and kind of head out there. So while we go and have a look around, I'm going to link back to Byron and see what he's up to.
Oh, look at this wonderful bird, a black cuckoo. Now, I've not seen one on Safari Live yet. I've heard them many times. I heard him calling and I was wondering if we'd get to see him. Just managed to spot him. He flew up through the trees and landed out on this dead branch. Beautiful black cuckoo. Let's see, they do this wonderful call. He just flew away. I'm surprised he actually sat up in the open for us. Wonderful. Black cuckoo. I'm not sure how many of you have seen a black cuckoo on Safari Live with us, but they very seldom sit out in the open. They usually sit in the dense branches of a tree, and they very, like all cuckoos, they disappear very quickly. That was great, wonderful. And they've got that wonderful call. I'm so glad. Some people say it says I'm so sad, but I think I'm so glad is maybe a bit more appropriate. That is great. The black cuckoo, wow. I haven't seen one for quite some time, and as I said, you hear them, but to see them it's very difficult. So I'm glad we got to see that. Very quickly. I was saying to Jesse, I'm sure it's going to fly quickly, and luckily you joined us just as we saw it. We spotted it, and then it flew off. I'm hoping to actually find some giraffe, because Mandy said she hasn't seen giraffe. And Raquel, we do indeed get fireflies in the park, or in this area, this part of South Africa. The fireflies and the glowworms, we do see them. However, I haven't seen for quite some time. Now, they generally do occur around rivers and that. Fireflies, glowworms do need a lot of moisture. So it depends on the time of the year, but around this time of the year you do get them, but they do prefer kind of riverine areas, rivers or long rivers and that. They do need a lot of moisture, but we do get them indeed. And it's amazing, it's an incredible phenomenon, the light that the fireflies give off, because it doesn't give off any heat. And there's no heat given off at all. And this light is basically produced from the mixture of enzymes in the body. And it's luciferin and luciferase, if I remember correctly. Now, gee, I haven't spoken about this for quite some time, so I hope I'm right, but I think I am. Luciferin and luciferase, the mixture of the enzymes within the body and the abdomen of the fireflies and the glowworms, and that allows them to emit this light, but it does not give off any heat, which is very interesting. I just saw some hyena tracks walking along the road here, probably from last night. Maybe looking for some food to scavenge off of. Miss Cruz, safari tip of the day. You're still wondering what it is? I'm sorry, what is the safari tip of the day for today? Byron's tip of the day. Let me think quickly. I'm not sure, Miss Cruz. Give me a second or two. I'll think about it, and let's just have a look. I'm approaching a little dam now. Let's see if there's anything around here. A treehouse dam. Hoping that we do find something. Let's have a look. Anything? Nothing. Now, just having a look across to the dam over here. Well, it's beautiful. I was thinking about this earlier. It's because it's so hot. I wouldn't mind diving into one of these dams and having a little swim across it. These ones that we know, there are no hippo or crocodiles. Well, I assume there are no hippo or crocodiles. I haven't seen them here. Now, James is watching in final control. He decided he was a bit tired. He wanted a morning off. He's not a very hard worker, James. He tends to rest quite often, and he says my safari tip of the day should be always carry a broomstick. Now, you might have remembered that broomstick story about the elephant and myself and James getting quite upset with me when I was training that I challenged an elephant with a broomstick. I was purely doing what I thought was right in the moment, and I think if James has to be honest, he'd probably agree with me, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll ask him later if he agrees with me. I think James is. Yes, X-Ranger, that is brilliant, and I have to agree with you. X-Ranger says, tip of the day, if you're on honeymoon, protect your wife from spiders. Do not jump into the seat next to her or behind her. If a spider lands between you, man up and flick it away. Don't jump off the seat and leave your wife to deal with the spider. That's a great tip of the day, X-Ranger. Oh dear. Oh. Well, that's it. They say if you want to get married, maybe this will be my tip of the day. If you want to get married, go camping with the person first, because you have to deal with the elements, and when you take people out of their comfort zones, you really do see what type of person they are. So if you decide one day that you want to get married, go on a camping trip together, take yourselves out of your comfort zones, see how you get along, and if you still come out alive on the other end, then maybe it's meant to be. So maybe that'll be my tip of the day. I mean, what do I know about marriage? But anyway, that's that's my tip of the day. Marnus is also agreeing with me. He says that's a great tip, and I wonder if he did that. There's been a lot of elephant activity around. I've just been seeing tracks all over the show. They've definitely been moving through the areas. A lot of elephant activity, so hopefully we might bump into some more. And now, speaking of Marnus, and if he went camping or not before he got married, he's on Cheetah Plains. Let's see what he's managed to find.
Welcome back, guys, or ladies and gentlemen. We are now searching for a specific animal that's apparently has been seen this morning, and we had to drive quite far to get there. What the animal is, I can't really tell you yet, because it is lying in a specific area that where we could not or might not be able to see this animal. I can give you a little tip though. For those who watched the show yesterday evening, the animal was seen by James. He filmed it quite nicely, all these animals. So if you do know what it is, then don't tell the others, please. Otherwise, yes, we've given up on Karula. We can't really find any nice tracks. There's just way too much hyena activity in that area that sort of walked all over hers and her cubs' tracks, which makes it quite difficult for us to even get a general area of where she may have gone. Okay, and I just spotted something there. We've got some wildebeest. That's fantastic. A nice little surprise. The big migration. I think we've got 3 or 4 of them, eh? Let's have a quick look there. Brilliant. So I was just informed by Dave that this is the end of our boundary. So we can't get too close to them, but luckily we've got quite a nice zoom lens that will get you right up in there. Stunning, this area. Stunning, stunning, stunning. Open. And this is exactly why the wildebeest are probably lying in this area. They can see as far, very, very, very far. Okay. Let me just go a little bit back. You see them nicely, eh? Yep. Okay, great. Alan from Mississippi, a great question. Why are there so little or not so many wildebeest here than what there is in the Masai Mara? Well, It's basically the specific area which you find. Now, if you let me just try and see the specific area. Sorry, Dave, I'm trying to show. You can see past the wildebeest, it's dipping down. It's making, you have the little crests, and then from the crest it goes downwards to drainage lines and it goes up again. So you do get different kinds of soils that supplement the type of grasses which wildebeest tend to enjoy. Our area, as you also see behind the wildebeest, is quite dense with vegetation, and therefore it's not ideal for large wildebeest groups to be living in this specific or in this certain area. Okay, wildebeest, they have poor eyesight, and they like to migrate and like the massive open plains, flat plains, and the specific grasses that grows from or what they tend to enjoy is not always frequently available here. Yeah. The same goes with our zebras. We get small groups of them, probably up to about 20-25, never really much larger than that. It's just, you know, different areas, I suppose. Hi, Craig from New York. Welcome. Do the wildebeest migrate in this area? Unfortunately, they do not. Well, not really unfortunately, but they might be moving from area to area, dependent on the type of grass that is in season with the rain, and how the type of grasses that they prefer, which would most likely make them move probably a bit further away than what they normally would stay at in this area. But the large migrations, no, unfortunately not. We don't really find them in this part of Africa. There is the second largest migration, which you find in Luwa Plains, which is in Zambia. They move quite far, and then obviously the largest one, which is in Kenya and Serengeti, Tanzania side, it's the Masai Mara. That it's phenomenal. I've been very blessed to have seen it before. It is a sight you'll never forget. It's a lot of emotions that goes through your body, I would say, when they do cross through the Mara River, because the emotion of the fact is that these wildebeest are so nervous to cross, naturally due to the fact that there's crocodiles inside the water, and then once they're through, there's normally quite a few lions waiting for them on the other side. Hungry lions. So it's exciting to see that numbers, but once that happens, it can be a bit traumatic, if I want to say it like that. Yeah. Now it looks like these are possibly two young ones. And the reason I'm saying two young ones is you can see their horns. They're not very thick at the base, so where it comes out from the skull. And when it loops around, it's not as thick, and they probably can grow for another 2 or 3 years before it's fully matured, maybe another year or so. Then these are dominant males or females, but I presume that these would be young males. And they're very clever, as I mentioned. They're just staying in this area, and they can see quite far away, which is very important when there's only two. You know, wildebeest rely on numbers. Third de lance, how do I know wildebeest have got poor eyesight? I spoke to one a few days ago, and he was telling me his eyes is giving. No, I'm kidding. Wildebeest, generally speaking, you know, when you go through all the research books or specific animals that's been covered by research over the years, they found that there's a symbiotic relationship between zebra and wildebeest, and the wildebeest tend to have poor eyesight but great hearing, and then you have the zebra who's got bad hearing but good eyesight, and therefore you'll always find them together most of the times. Sorry, not always. As you can see, there's nothing here, but most of the times. What is also interesting is the fact that while you find these two together, I can't remember which one. Maybe some of the viewers might know the ratio of how it works, but the wildebeest prefers the long or the top part of the grass, and then the zebra prefers the bottom part, or vice versa. And therefore, again, they're just working well together. And that's why it's been shown or indicated a long time ago as well that wildebeest, they don't really see that well. Okay. On bushwalks, I've had several times where you do encounter them on foot, and then they pick up your smell and they can hear you, but they can't really see you, and they start running away. And then the funny thing is they actually come back to see where you were last, where they last saw you. We've seen it before with with lions. Lions would chase wildebeest and lie flat down, and then the wildebeest would eventually start coming back, say, what's going on, where are we? And then you'll have the lions catching wildebeest. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so what I think is, if everybody's happy, I hope there's no more questions about wildebeest, and if there are, please, while we're driving, ask me. I think we're going to head towards where that special sighting was, and then see if we can get lucky with them. Alright, cool. Hello folks, how are you? Lekker. You're getting old, buddy. Who? You? Yeah.
I can see.
I'm getting old, buddy. How are you?
Yes.
Yeah, lekker, man.
2004.
Long time, eh? Holly. Yay! Nice to see you, my brother.
Yes, you see, I've still got the photos from Mbali.
You too?
I still got
Mooi.
photos with Marmas.
I hope it's good photos. Listen, we're gonna go look for that skankan, okay? Oh, there's that side, eh?
Are you going in this lock now?
I don't know.
Complicated stories of everybody.
Okay, let me go and have a look.
Yeah, you know that here is Nkoro.
Huh?
Yeah.
Munayas.
Yeah.
Mina famba, ne?
That is what's the Kora?
Yeah. Okay, nkomo shinene, ne?
No worry. Hey,
Sharp.
Marnas,
Lekker, man.
Okay.
You must talk, okay? Thanks, buddy. Oh, it's one of my good friends, Harley. We worked together many years ago at a different lodge, and it's been 2004, 2005 since last I've seen him. So yeah, it's quite nice to catch up with some of the friends of the bush. It's a very small industry, and you never know who you're going to bump into. Okay, great. We're going to continue our search for this specific animal and have a chat with the other rangers that might still be in the sighting. Find out if we have to wait or if we can go into this specific sighting. Byron's got a nice update. Over to you, Byron.
And my update, Manus, is that we haven't found anything just yet. I caught a glimpse of elephant. Unfortunately, they moved off through the thicket. Now, as I was saying to you earlier, there's a lot of elephant tracks around. Whereabouts?
In the tree.
Oh wow, look at that. Well spotted. Oh my word. Leopard in the tree straight ahead. We have found something. Well spotted, Jesse. Look at that. Is that Tingana perhaps? I think it might be. Maybe some of you can tell us, but it is a beautiful big male. I'm going to see. I don't know if he's a little bit skittish or why he decided to move off out of the tree. Maybe I was just using it as a bit of a vantage point to look around. Wow, this is exciting. And I do think this is Tingana. We'll double check for you. But let's see. Oh, he's lying in the grass there now. In the shade. Fantastic. You never know what you're going to bump into. Oh, this is great. And I'm sure I'm right. This is Tingana, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, please let me know. But it looks, I mean, it does look like him. Beautiful big male leopard. This is great. I'm just going to try let everyone know. I know people are looking for leopard this morning, so I'm going to update some of the other guides quickly and just let them know. Let's see, but if he is moving, we're going to try stay with him, see where he goes. Wow, look at that. He's big. Let's see, we might probably see him. We might see him scent marking. There we go. So you all agree this is Tingana, but like I said, I did think so. The beautiful big dominant male leopard that we see around here. The stations just managed to locate a male leopard. We are at the prominent Balanites on Rebecca's at the Torchwood. Animals now generally mobile in a northwesterly direction. One station here. Copy. Let's follow him a bit and see where he goes. He's probably moving just through his territories. Scent marking. And now, I'm trying to think. And this morning we heard, well, viewers said they heard leopard calling, and they heard baboons alarm calling somewhere around Vuyatela Dam. Now, it's possible that he was in that area and he's headed all the way through across the clearings of quarantine and coming to this area. This is much further west from that position. You can smell where it's just scent marked. Now, we often say, but it does smell a bit like popcorn. Safari Dean, you said Tingana is your absolute favorite leopard, and he got you hooked to Safari Live during Big Cat Week. Well, that's great. That's really, really nice to hear, Safari Dean. I'm glad. It's always nice when you do see leopards that you do recognize, and especially a big male, a big tom like this. I do love seeing these big male leopards, and I was wondering when we were going to see him again. Mario, yes indeed, that overlap, or that dewlap, we call it a dewlap, that big thick piece of skin that hangs down the neck and the throat of a male leopard. With age, that becomes very prominent in big male leopards, so you do see it, it's called the dewlap. So it is common in big male leopards. Stations, just an update, this animal is now mobile west or northwest along Balanites. It was so nice to see him come down that big torchwood, that prominent torchwood tree. That's where Jesse spotted him. I'm just going to see what I'm going to try do. Let's just see where he goes. But I'm going to see if I can't sneak around him somewhere. If I get a gap and maybe get him walking towards us, that would be a lovely view. I just don't want to disturb him. He seems very calm and relaxed walking along the road. So if I do get a gap, I'm going to try to do it. We do this, especially when I've got photographers on the vehicle. To get a leopard walking towards you is really great. But the bush is very thick at the moment. I might be able to get through here. Hold on a second. Alright, now I'm going to try and get another view of Tingana, but while I follow him, let's head over to Marnus, who's got another surprise for you on Cheetah Plains.
And what you're about to see, or what you are seeing, is exactly what we were looking for. Cheetah. So the luck has changed, it seems, for me on my interview drive. From gorilla missing her to finding these two beautiful guys. And what an amazing sighting. All right. Villy from Oklahoma, you're asking that question regarding the strength of the cats, as in they don't look as strong as leopards, and you are 100% correct. Cheetahs are not adapted or designed for muscle. They are designed for speed, agility, and basically most of the times they target small prey, smallish prey, such as gazelle, which you'll find in East Africa or in this area. You'll find impala, which is the common species for them, and then you'd also look at steenbok and duiker at times. But yes, they're not as strong. As I mentioned, these guys, as you see, they've got very slick and long bodies, elongated bodies. They're much longer, they are quite longer than leopards. A little bit taller as well than what you'd find with female leopards. Some of your big male leopards can compete size-wise with a female cheetah, possibly, a youngster one. But these are two big males at the moment. Remember, it's very important that you keep in mind that cheetah are built and adapted for speed. They're the fastest land-living mammal on Earth, reaching speeds up to about 60-65 miles per hour. Can be, in kilometers, is about 100-110 kilometers per hour, which is extremely fast, if you can imagine. And they will keep that speed only for a few seconds. And then by the time, if they get lucky on the kill, then it's energy spent well worth. But otherwise, if they miss, then it's recovery time period, and it takes them several minutes to recover because the amount of energy they spent on building up to that power is amazing. Hi Dave, thank you for your, again, good question. What is the largest prey they can catch? These are two males, and males can hunt together at times. It's a coalition, probably brothers, well, definitely brothers, and they, as I mentioned earlier, they are a little bit larger than females, and they can bring down, we've seen it before, wildebeest, juveniles to almost, or sub-adults to almost adults. And the wildebeest is the ones we saw previously on our segment. So those two at the back there that we saw, which is quite far off though, that would be perfect for these guys to bring down. Other animals, other prey, such as kudu, we've seen as well in areas that lack small prey. Small prey such as impala, or they've got low density of impala or springbuck. We've seen them also catching young kudus. And I don't know, not sure if Byron or Tristan has seen kudu, but kudu is the second largest antelope in southern Africa. And yeah, we've seen them several times in Namibia doing that, bringing down juvenile kudus. We will definitely want to stay with these two boys for some time. It is a sighting you don't really see often. So if you are ever coming on safari in Africa and you do manage to see them, my advice would be stay as long as possible. It's just absolutely amazing. And as I said earlier, quite a rare sighting. It's quite fitting, as this area is known as Cheetah Plains around us. Cheetah, generally speaking, like the open areas, similar to, as I've mentioned previously about wildebeest, because again, for the hunting, they can't reach that speed of 110 kilometers per hour or 60 miles per hour in thick bushes. It's just going to make them not be able to turn as well, and therefore cause some issues and decrease their hunting capabilities. Stevie from Los Angeles, why do cheetah hunt during the day? You guys are throwing out some amazing questions right now. I love it. Well, cheetahs are diurnal, which means they're mostly active during the daytime. Now, remember, these cheetahs, they are living with spotted hyenas around them, they're living with lions around them, and they're living with leopards around them and wild dogs. So the carnivore density is quite high. So therefore, your lions and your leopards and hyena are more active during the evenings. So therefore, if cheetah were also active, it was previously mentioned that they are not so strong. So if they did kill, they would definitely lose most of their kills, because lions would be hearing the impala or whatever, calling out in distress. So therefore, it's an adaptation, sort of eases things out a little bit. Secondly is also the eyes is adapted for a daytime, where most predators' eyes are adapted for night living. The rods and cones in the eyes is completely different. And you'll note with this guy sleeping closest to us, Dave can try and get it on his head. You'll see the tear marks, the black tear marks running down from the eye downwards to the mouth. Scientists believe that the black tear marks is to attract as much light as possible. So obviously it improves your vision, your eyesight. Okay. Lastly, what I would say is I think it would be quite difficult to get up to those speeds during nighttime. There's a lot of things that you have to look out for while you're hunting, especially making quick decisions, such as aardvark holes in the ground, rocks, stones. So these guys need to make sure that they know exactly what they're doing, and therefore daytime is just so much easier for them. I'm going to ask Dave to quickly look into the face. Robin, and you're watching with your grandson, I believe. That's amazing. Welcome to the show. I trust you've been thoroughly enjoying it. Cheetahs hunt, you're asking if they can hunt during nighttime, and your answer, or your question again, is fantastic. Yes, they can. They would prefer full moons when the light is the brightest for them to be able to adapt. But yes, it's not that common, but we have seen them as well, just by years being in the bush, that these guys can hunt at nighttime. But again, my honest opinion is you would only really find that during full moon times. Okay. Now I was asking Dave earlier to try and zoom in onto the face. And the face, as soon as one of these guys turn around their faces, I'll tell you a little bit more about them, because it's amazing to see how you can do research on cheetahs without even sometimes putting a GPS collar on them. All right, but I believe Tristan's got some interesting little creature waiting for you, so we're going to cut to Tristan before we come back to our segment.
Well, welcome back, guys. Sounds like things have finally picked up this morning, and sounds like some great sightings happening out there. I'm quite glad for Manus that he got some cheetah. It's a very, very special thing. I did hear him talking about whether or not the cheetah hunt kudu in this area, and I have actually seen those particular two that he's watching hunt baby kudu quite frequently. So they do it in this area, and those two in particular are quite good at it. There used to be 4 of them, and when there was the 4, they used to actually go after quite large kudu as well. But yes, as you can see, we've been walking around and into this area, and we've been scratching around looking for little things that we can possibly show you guys in the tent, and we came across this flaky bark acacia. Now, as we were walking along, Jandre spotted some beetles that were on it, and on closer inspection, we managed to find this whole little group of caterpillars. Now, I'm not exactly sure what species of caterpillar they are, but they are incredibly interesting. They all kind of congregated on a broken off branch, and they all kind of clumped together, and I'm sure because of their size, they would be a great meal for many, many species of birds. And so these small little guys are all coming together nice and tight, so that they make a much larger object and make it much harder and more intimidating for birds or other animals that might prey on them to actually eat them. So you'll see that they're kind of moving up and down. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a wind, so we're going to try to stabilize that branch for you guys a little bit, so you can actually get a good picture. But they're kind of moving around all over the place. It looks like what they're doing is going towards where the base of the thorns are, and at the base of the thorns, there's sometimes a little sap that seeps out of it. I'll show you just now in another part of the tree where you can actually see the sap oozing, and it's possible that they're feeding off that sap, gaining those sugary nutrients that come out of the sap, and they'll be able to then digest that in order to grow and to get bigger. But isn't that incredible how they're all moving around together? You can see they kind of follow one another around, and no one really breaks off too much at all. And they are very, very active. Generally, caterpillars kind of slowly move along and just do little movements as they go, but these guys are incredibly active. They tend to move up and down, and every now and then you'll watch they'll flick their bodies, and I'm not 100% sure why they're doing it. I was watching them just now, and they kind of keep moving up and down in a sort of jumping motion. So I'm going to try and see if I can do a little bit more research on these guys and see what we can find and what kind of species they are and why they do that flicking motion. But incredibly interesting nonetheless. It just goes to show you that any day that you spend out here, there's always something new to learn and something new to see, which is quite incredible. And so if we pan back slightly, you guys will see in the middle of the tree here is that sap that I was talking about. You can actually see where it was broken off, probably by something like an elephant. They then broke it, and the sap is now leaking from that break in the tree. And you'll find a multitude of different insects will be coming to that. Like I said, it is very sugary, very full of nutrients, and so you'll find multiple beetles, caterpillars, butterflies will all come and feed off this. And sometimes you'll even find things like bush babies that will come and also feed off that sap in the night time. And then on the right hand side, which is why we actually came to this tree, is because of these little beetles. So these little beetles were what Jandre first spotted, and they are actually, from afar, they look quite drab and dreary and sort of dark and black, but they've got this most interesting iridescent bronzy green stripe that runs down the flank of their body. Again, I'm not 100% sure which beetle this actually is. It's the first time that I've seen these guys really on any sort of tree, so I'm going to try and see if I can also ID these guys through the day today and actually get a little bit of a better view of them. But when you touch these smaller little branches, like where these beetles are currently sitting, there's quite a sticky residue on them, and I'm sure that's what they're harvesting, much like the sap. That's what these beetles are after, which is pretty incredible. So it just shows you one little tree can be a hugely important source of nutrients for a multitude of different species, and actually just stopping and having a little look and kind of digging a little bit deeper can actually show a lot of what's going on that you would have missed had you just driven past. So we're going to try to see if we can walk around and see if we can find anything else as we go. Like I say, the tree itself is quite busy, but we're going to see if there's maybe anything else around here. There's lots and lots of little insects and things that have been jumping up and down from the grass. We've had lots of butterflies around that have also been going, but because of the warmth, everything seems to be very, very, very active at this stage. But what we do actually have tucked away here is a little blue commelina. All right, so these blue commelinas, also known as a wandering Jew, are a beautiful, beautiful little flower, and they get their name from three botanist brothers, the Comlin brothers. And the reason why it was named after them is if you have a look here, you have three little petals, two on the top here, and one tiny one on the bottom. Now, when the Comlin brothers were alive, two of them went to a nice old age and lived a long, healthy life, and the one brother died at quite an early age. And so that's why it represents the two brothers that were slightly older, and then the underdeveloped petal is that of the younger brother that died. Now, the reason this particular plant gets the name Wandering Jew is due to the fact that it will collect dew. All right, so in these little pods that you see below the flowers, if you give them a little squeeze, I'm not sure if this one's going to have much in it, given that we haven't had too much rain and it's been so hot, but there you can see a little bit of the bubbles coming out. And if we've had a bit of rain or we've had some kind of misty warm weather, you'll find that lots and lots and lots of water will come oozing out of this and sap will come out of it. So that's where it gets its name and why it's called a dew, as in D-E-W, and why it's gotten that name. But it's such a pretty little flower. I really, really do like these guys. All right, so while we're busy looking for more things around the tent, I believe Byron's still with Tingana and still moving around, so we're going to cross back to him and see what he's up to.
Now we have been sitting with this beautiful male. He looks very full actually, now that I'm looking at it. His belly looks fairly full, so I wonder if he didn't feed on something very recently. Yeah, quite a full belly there. He's looking in great condition. Wouldn't it be wonderful if he decided to jump up into that tree? But I don't think he will. And he's been scanning across these clearings, just having a look to see if there's potentially anything for him to hunt. We know that these leopards are very opportunistic. Just trying to make space. There are some other people out on safari at the moment too, so enjoying the sighting with us. Very peaceful now. There's still a lot of birds calling around us. I don't see any antelope around this clearing. We do often see impala herds and that around here, but nothing at the moment. But it just shows you he's still scanning very carefully, perhaps. And these leopards are very intelligent. They know that the impala generally feed on these clearings in the evenings, and then they move just off into the thickets during the day when it starts warming up. So he's having a good look and scanning the edge of the thickets, or that thicket line, just to see if there isn't a bit of movement through there somewhere. And I wonder where he's going to go to. He may end up at a small water hole, possibly have a drink later. He has been scent marking a lot, and usually with the scent marking, the leopards do have to go and drink some water because they're obviously spraying a lot of urine all over the show. And then probably rest during the course of the day, and maybe move again later when it starts cooling down. But again, leopards, you never know. Leopards will move around any time of the day. There's never a guarantee that they only move at night or they don't move during the day. I mean, it's fairly warm already and he's still moving around, scent marking, so... Robin, you're watching with your grandson Chase, and it's lovely to have you watching Safari Live. Now, I couldn't quite copy your question. Louise will give it to me again. I just heard a part of it about the male leopard. Louise, if you can just repeat that for me. Okay, so Robin and with your grandson Jess, you wanted to know why is the leopard's neck and shoulders so big and so thick. Now this male leopard especially on a male leopard, you see it. But leopards in general are very, very stocky animals, very powerful. They're short in stature, but very powerful limbs that allow them to climb trees very, very well. But one of the reasons why they've got big necks and big shoulders is to carry that big head. They've got a very large head, and also to have the power to be able to hoist a kill up into a tree. So that's why there's a lot of muscle around that area, the neck, the shoulders of these leopards, because that's where all their power is, to be able to carry that big head of theirs around. So that's exactly why they've got those big shoulders and a big neck. But they are very thick-set animals, very, very powerful. And I would almost go as far as saying that I think power to weight ratio, or power to size ratio, I think the leopard is probably the most powerful big cat. Even though lions are incredibly powerful, but I think, if you see how these big cats, these leopards are able to hoist kills into trees, carry them up, almost weighing exactly the same weight as they do. That is really incredible. Now a big male leopard like this will also be twice the size of a female. Joshua, I'm not entirely sure how large not how large your territory is, how large Tingana's territory is. Joshua, I don't know. I'm trying to think now because so I haven't been around enough to know exactly where this leopard is seen in terms of how far south, how far north and east and west. But on average, a big male leopard like this could have a territory of between 10 and 15 square kilometers at least. So I'm not, what's that in miles? Maybe between 8 and 10 square miles, I would say, roughly, maybe a bit more, somewhere around there. That I would say is an average, but it can be very large, very, very large. Yeah, so it all depends. Depends on the amount of food, amount of water. It depends on how many other leopards are in the territory or in the area competing for territory. All those factors need to be taken into account. Stew, and that's it's very very well spotted. You say Tingana's facing into the wind and very observant of you. Yes, he is facing the wind. And you asked, would he be able to smell prey? Yes, definitely. Be able to pick up on the scent of impala, perhaps. And we know the scent organs, or a lot of these animals, their sense of smell is incredibly acute and is very, very good, far sharper than ours. So they would definitely be able to pick up on the scent of some animals. Okay, I'm going to sit here a little bit. I'm going to see if there aren't any other people that would like to come view this beautiful leopard while he's still out in the open. But let's head back to Manus, who's still sitting with the cheetah.
I'm standing by. When you start talking, I'll know.
Welcome back, folks, to the Cheetah Boys. The wind has picked up slightly, and it's quite nice, the weather at the moment. Its temperature has actually quite dropped a bit. Dave, the cameraman, feels a bit different, but I feel it's quite enjoyable now. It's bearable, should I rather say. And this is the best temperature for these guys. They're going to be relaxing. Oh, as you can see, stretching a little bit, getting ready, as there's another vehicle approaching from one of the lodges. So he just probably wants to see and show those guests a good time as well. Remember, if you've got any questions for me about cheetah, feel free to send a tweet, #SafariLive, and we can have a discussion about these two remarkable boys. Tristan mentioned briefly that he has seen these guys previously hunt kudu, as we spoke about it earlier, and yeah, it just backs up again, you know, with the big males generally speaking, they can take down a larger prey. So you can see this guy is he wants to sleep, but he's not sure if he can drop his head yet. He's like, I don't know. And it must be so annoying for them with the flies constantly focusing around their ear. Eric, welcome and thank you for your question. How long is a cheetah's tail? Generally speaking, it can be almost the whole body size of a cheetah. The length from the hips to just before the head. And the reason why it's so long is because cheetahs rely heavily on their tails as a rudder. You know, in boats you use a rudder to give you direction, and it's exactly the same with cheetah. When they are running so fast at speed of 60 miles per hour, their tail determines which direction they will be going. Now, as you see the base there, the base where the tail begins, it is extremely tough. They've got a lot of muscles there, and that is basically the cockpit that sends out signals to the tip of where to exactly go, how fast to turn. As you know, prey, they don't give up easily either, so they'll be zigging and zagging all over the place trying to avoid themselves being caught, and that's why these guys have such long tails. He's going for a nice morning snooze. I'm sure he's had an eventful evening, or both of them, possibly listening to other lions in the area, hyenas, so they had to be fully awake, most likely, checking around, making sure that nothing creeps up on them. Safari Dean asked a question of what do the scent mark of a cheetah smell like? That is an interesting question. It's very potent. It's I can't really try and compare it to something, but it's a great question you're asking there. Cheetah's scent mark, they have specific trees in the wild where they always return to every few days or few weeks, depending on the area. And remember, they don't have territories; they've got home ranges. So once they get into that specific home range, they'll always go to the scent mark tree, and then lay a fresh layer of scent on it. And that's also how, just for interest sakes, how a lot of researchers can try and catch cheetah to collar them. That's in the wild. You remember, cheetahs in specific other areas are not as relaxed as what we are seeing at this present time, and therefore catching them can be very tricky. And I've seen a lot of my friends who are researchers, they're getting grey hairs trying to get these guys in traps. So what they've done is they would set up a cage, a box trap, which is safe, obviously, it's protected. Because sometimes you'll see when an animal goes into these traps, they can hurt themselves due to the fact that they're trying to escape. But then they also set up a remote trigger camera, which allows them to pick up any information when a cheetah is in the cage. That'll send a signal to the cell phone, which means they can quickly respond. But these traps are normally set at the scent mark trees, and once the cheetah goes inside, they've got remote trigger camera traps, sets it off, and the researchers can move to the area as soon as possible, dart the animal in a safe environment, put a collar on, and then collect amazing data on these guys. Not sure if you are aware of the fact, but cheetahs are also quite endangered due to the fact that well, they're competing with so many other predators. It's one of the biggest problems these guys have faced over the years. Other predators keeping their numbers low, and obviously conflict with humans in areas where the cheetahs are allowed to roam free makes it very, very, very difficult for a cheetah to say no to specific sheep or farmland, sorry, not farmers itself. We've got a nice question there from, is it Peggy? With regards to if these cheetah will wait for a female to come into this specific area. Well, Peggy, sometimes, see, cheetahs, their areas overlap, the home ranges, and the males' home ranges are much larger than females. Same or very similar to lions for that matter, but obviously lions are territorial. Whereas these guys, not so territorial, more as you would call semi-territorial / just to home ranges. But yes, there would be several females inside the areas, and once they have mated with these ladies or these females, then they would obviously try sometimes and search for other ones that are available, just maybe on the outskirts of the area. If you look now, we've got quite a nice zooming image on their feet, on their claws. Now, cheetah they do not have retractable claws, say as lions. And I've just received information from the head office that John was asking this question. Do they retract their claws? And actually they don't. When they are young, basically when they're born till about 6 to 9 months of age, they have semi-retractable claws, because remember, they're not really hunting, so they don't need it. But once they get to that sub-adult to adulthood, it eventually changes and their claws stay out permanently. So it's like a 100-meter athlete running constantly or walking constantly with spikes on his feet. And you can also see how it's not sharp anymore, and therefore it's an indication that should show you that cheetah don't rely as much on those claws to bring down prey. That's more for grip. Just above, almost at the elbows of their front legs, if you can try and get that, there's what you call, just below the elbow, there's dew claws in the front, Sorry, Dave. Just there we go, a little bit. There's a dew claw somewhere around there, and that's always kept sharp. And the dew claw is just one that comes on the outside, basically it's on the inside of the paw if you're standing straight, and they use the dew claw to bring down prey most of the times. Now, I wanted to quickly show you the facial structures. I was trying to discuss with you guys earlier, and if you look at the face over here, the spot configuration on a cheetah's just below the eye. Now you see the tear mark that goes along the nose, that straight black line, but then on the other side of the corner you have the spot configuration going downwards, alright? And then just below that, it's almost like it looks like stripes, but if you take your binoculars you'll see it's a few spots and then 1 or 2 blotches. Out of interest sakes, that's how they used to identify, and even now still identify, cheetah that are not collared or tagged. Each cheetah has its own spot configuration. So years and years and years ago, before the technology evolved, researchers used to take their binoculars and a pen and paper and then start drawing that exact spot configuration, and then go put that in a file, and every time they would find a cheetah, they would just scan and start looking at which cheetah they have found. It's amazing. So James, you were asking about how, if the tracks are larger, how much larger are they than females? Very good question. Males can weigh a few kilograms more than females. I could probably say up to 15 kilograms most likely. Remember, they are very skinny and slender built animals, so I do struggle a lot to determine if it's male or female at specific times, to be very honest. When you do pick up spoor, of cheetah that's moved through the area, and you find two large tracks very similar, or three even, similar in size, it could possibly be a collision. Then you would automatically assume that it could be males, or unless it's a female with her almost adult cubs strolling and patrolling and looking for some food. Hi Caroline, you asked whether cheetahs take the kill up into a tree, and the answer is no. They don't do that, and that's mainly due to the fact that, again, cheetah don't have retractable claws, alright? It makes it very difficult for them to climb trees. Now, that said, they do sometimes get up to specific trees. When they choose their scent mark trees can normally be at the slight angle where they can climb up and scent mark on that spot. But I've never heard of cheetah actually taking up a kill into a large tree, for example. You know, they could be if it's like that, slightly bent, maybe. But what you must remember with cheetah is that they are so low ranked in the predator aspect, so when they do hunt, they eat and run. It's like a takeaway, really. They need to be sure that there's no other predators. So what we've observed over the years is once they've killed, they're so out of breath, they're exhausted, like because their lungs has just increased so much, and then they would try as fast as possible to take this kill and move it towards a tree line or any bushes to hide it away from vultures, for example. Because vultures will attract lions, and lions would then follow the vultures. So the point of the story is they'll first start at the bum. The bum has got the most nutritious meat quality, and then once they finish with the bum, they would rest, and then they would again constantly check and see if they've got enough time. And if they see that there's no other predators coming, then obviously they'll stay a bit longer. I've seen as well many times previously where cheetahs are, when they have taken a kill, eat, and then chased off quickly. Alright. And that can also mean they can be chased off as well from quite interesting baboons at times. We've seen some baboons on previous drives. The big males can chase cheetahs off their kill. Shows you how low ranked these guys are, hey? I believe Tristan has got some interesting thing to show you again on his bushwalk, so we'll be cutting towards Tristan's side, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Guys, so yeah, we've been kind of looking around, and there's not really too much going on around the tent at this stage. Like I said, it's getting very, very hot out there, and so we decided we'd come back into the tent and have a little look at the dam cam and see what's been happening there. I see some of the viewers have actually, or the zoomies have focused in on some impala males and some interesting behavior with oxpeckers. So what is currently happening at the moment is it looks like that there's an oxpecker that is busy feeding off this impala, and also there's a couple that have flown in and out trying to harvest bits of fur. So unfortunately it's just gone off the screen now, but there was an adult male impala with the oxpecker on its head, and it was gathering bits of fur, probably in all likelihood to use for nesting material. So it is quite common that the oxpeckers utilize the host animal that they are busy feeding off when they're looking for ticks and things like that. They'll also utilize them as a nesting species, so they'll go and harvest the fur, that's loose fur that's coming off the impalas or whatever species they're feeding on, and then they go and use that to pack into their nest to create nice, soft, comfortable nesting area that is nice and insulated for their little chicks, which is pretty incredible. Now, talking about the impalas and the oxpeckers, these little oxpeckers have got to be one of my favorite birds. They are incredibly common here in this area. We find them all over most of your grazing animals, and what you'll find is that they will land onto these birds, and these animals, and they have like a claw-like structure. So not like a normal perching bird that will have 3 toes forward and 1 toe back. These guys have 2 forward and 2 back, and it actually acts like a grappling hook that they're able to then cling onto the sides of these animals and move up and down in search of parasites that they are looking for. And it's believed that these oxpeckers will be able to feed off 100 fully engorged ticks off one of these animals in a 24-hour period. And when we talk about a fully engorged tick, those ticks are often about the size of your pinky thumbnail, your pinky fingernail, and so you can imagine 100 of those being removed every day off you is quite a useful service to have. And if they're eating the small little pepper ticks or the tick larvae, they reckon that those birds will eat between 2,000 to 3,000 of those larvae in a 24-hour period, which is quite incredible. So they are vitally important to the animals out here. They keep these guys nice and clean, and because of high tick loads often can cause distress in an animal and can cause them to get very ill, these birds are helping in massive ways to keep these guys nice and clean and free of ticks. But what you see now is a whole bunch of males milling around at the dam. Like I was saying to you, it's getting quite hot, and so what's happening is these animals are probably slowly coming down for a bit of water to hydrate, and then they're going to try and find themselves some shade. At this time of the year, generally the male herds like this, there's not too much competition happening. Most of the females have just given birth recently, and so there's really not too much in the way of aggression between one another. And so rather than being aggressive and chasing one another around and isolating each other, they're going to stick into a small bachelor herd like this, where they'll be able to watch one another's back and make sure that they can see predators should they be around. And I would imagine that there will be a group of females somewhere close by. There we go, in the background you can see all the females. So this is just a little bachelor group that's separated off the females. You'll find that they'll mix and match throughout the day, but come sort of April, May, you'll find that this will change slightly, and the males will become far more aggressive to one another, and you'll find that they'll chase each other away to isolate groups of females that they can then mate with and dominate. So yeah, it looks like a nice busy day down at the dam cam. I'm sure with this heat there's going to be a multitude of species that are going to come around. So if you've got some spare time, you can watch there and keep an eye on what's going on. Maybe we'll even get lucky and Tingana will change direction and start heading back this way and come and have a drink at some point this afternoon. But we're going to go back to Manus and see what he's up to with those two cheetah and see if they may be up and moving. But yeah.
And we have got a special guest at the show today. If any of you guys have any idea what this is, and for those who don't, there's not a problem, that's why we're here. It's a black-backed jackal. See, that's that black coloration on its back, that's the name. And again, it's one of those quite unique and special predators you find in this area of Djuma Game Reserve. By the brief look, it's quite far away from us, as we're still sitting with these two cheetah boys. It looks like it's a female, and how I can assume that from just looking with the binoculars earlier is the females generally are a much lighter color than the males. And a male and female pair bond for life, and I don't know where the male is, it's probably scavenging as well. So just looking at it, could be a female that's she might have smelt or heard the cheetah previously in the area, probably last night, and now she sees if they maybe made a kill. It's I presume that's probably why she's here. William from Oregon, thank you for your question. You were asking, are cheetah, why is this jackal hunting around the cheetah? Is it dangerous? It is fair enough. It can be dangerous if they get caught off, but remember, as we spoke earlier, cheetahs are not really the top apex predator in this area. That's number one. Number two, they're not really going to exert energy and chase a jackal that's quite far away at the moment, just to, if they've got nothing to protect. So they'll allow this guy to come in, or this lady to come in as close as possible, as long as the jackal doesn't give one of them a quick nibble on the bum. But you must remember, predators, they all live amongst each other. Some avoid each other, some come very close contact. We've seen previously before, there was actually a great photo captured by a photographer, I forgot his name, where he caught a black-backed jackal biting basically jumping up to a young adult male lion. So these jackals are pretty hardcore. They can stand their ground as well. Yeah, so it's not really dangerous. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, please, let's have a look and see if we can potentially get back to her. I can't see her anymore. She might be in the bushes there. And this is also quite a great time of the year for them, the jackals. These jackals are omnivores, which means they eat both meat and vegetation. And I thought I saw her there, no. And yeah, as they eat both, they tend to, especially during this time of the year, there's so much fruit available. So they'll eat like the raisin bush seeds, which is like probably about this size. They tend to enjoy that quite a lot when it's harder to come by from from bigger meat that they can potentially steal away from other predators. What is also important to remember is that these jackals, they'll eat anything from birds' eggs to lizards, to ground living birds. So the diet is just amazing from these guys, these jackals, and that's why I think also they're such successful breeders, because they can adapt very quickly. It seems like something has caught one of these males' attention, or maybe he's just looking up, making sure that nothing is around him. We just got a very, very amazing question from Lauren. So thank you so much for that question. I tend to enjoy it. It's one of those little well thought of questions. Lauren wanted to find out if cheetahs are, when they're at full speed, if they are more airborne than what they're actually touching the surface while they're running. And you are 100% correct there. Their strides are so big, or so long, sorry, that when their feet actually touches the soil, compared to that split millisecond or second to the time that they're jumping or leaping forwards in the chase of whatever they are going after, I think it's about probably 2 or 3 seconds longer when they're in the air. So that is a very good question. Thank you for that one. Janice from Seattle, thank you for watching. You were wondering how many meters can a cheetah cover when it's doing one stride whilst running. It really does depend on whether it's a male or female, but it has been recorded up to about 3 to 3.5, even 4 meters. I don't know what that is in yards. Unfortunately, sorry, I'm not too clued up on that, but it's about 3 to 4 meters. So almost double, over a double of their body weight, or their length. Sorry, not body weight, their length of the body. And if you go now from where the bum starts of this male, from the back before the tail, so the tail's not included, to with the shoulders, you'd be looking at just about 1 meter in length. So they can do probably about 2 or 3 times their own length. Very good questions. You oaks are feeding me. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So the plan is that we will be spending a little bit more time and then head off for some hopefully well-deserved breakfast. I really hope you've all enjoyed your time with myself on my interview drive. So from my side, thank you very much. The questions were phenomenal. I had a really good time with all of you. And Dave also, we were talking earlier, he was like, this has been great, just chilling out, relaxing and enjoying the sighting. Well done, thanks you, buddy. So we're going to be cutting towards Tristan and hopefully see you guys soon. Thank you.
Well, welcome back, guys. So while you've been with Manus, we were looking around and trying to see if there's any few things that we could pick up just before we closed up this morning, and we managed to find a buffalo thorn tree. This is a dead branch, but what I wanted to show you is that if you have a look here on that sort of base of the stem, you will notice that there's kind of sections that have been eaten off. All right, now these areas that have been eaten off have been done by a specific beetle. All right, this beetle is called a longhorn beetle, and we actually have an example of one here. It's not one that I found, but I think James found it the other day, and I wanted to show you what they look like. It looks like this. This is just one example of them. You can see why it's called a longhorn beetle. Look at the size of those antennae, and look just like it has big long horns that come off, much like something like a kudu. So these little guys will eat this little section, which they will then lay their larvae in, and they hatch and will then consume the cambium layer of the plant. But isn't that the most incredibly good looking little insect? And on that note, guys, I'm going to say goodbye. It's been a great experience being in the tent for the first time, and I look forward to many hours in this tent. There's so much to explore around here and so many little things to look for, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to spending a lot of time here and analyzing quite a few things under the microscope. So it's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope wherever you are, you have a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. And we're going to go across now to Byron and see what he's up to with Tingana.
Thanks, Tristan. We lost Tingana. He managed to move through quite a thick area across onto Arathusa, but what a lovely view of him this morning. And then we've just got some female kudu browsing away. Very nice to see them. Always great to see the kudu. Oh, what a great morning. I mean, we've seen so much. We had that beautiful big elephant bull. We did see some other elephant a little bit later, but that disappeared on us. But Manus had a great morning with the cheetah on Cheetah Plains, and then to see Tingana, and it does sound like Tristan had a lot of fun in the tent. So another really great morning for Safari Live. Hope you have all enjoyed it. Don't forget, everyone, our live television shows, and that's 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Nat.Geo Wild, and your Sunday evenings. And I think we've got three more shows, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 more. So still a lot of TV coming up for all of you, which I'm sure you're all excited about. That's nice. Now they're moving through the thicket, so we're going to do the same and move on. Now I really hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you to Manus and Dave and Tristan and Craig in the tent, and of course Louise and Kirsten Final Control, and Jesse with me on camera this morning. From myself, Byron, we'll see you all this afternoon, and don't forget Safari Live for our Sunset Safari. Goodbye everyone, have a wonderful day or good night.